is Salman Shaheen. He's spokesman for the political party Left Unity. Salman, of course, many would say the shredding of this evidence has come at a very convenient time, but it's all happened within the law, so there's no reason to suggest there's been a cover-up, is there?
Well, as we know, I mean, the Commons justifies this and says that this is part of the data protection laws and that this is a routine shredding of information. But I think it's really it's part of a system of getting rid of sensitive information which could come back and embarrass MPs. You look at the other information which is kept for 100 years, details of MPs' pay, their sick leave. That is kept for 100 years until their 100th birthday. Sorry, and yet this very sensitive information, which is causing a lot of embarrassment and even criminal investigations in some cases for MPs, has ended up being destroyed. And now that is, I believe, more than just convenient. It smacks of a cover-up to me.
Well, a huge amount of embarrassment was caused anyway, wasn't there? Remember, of course, the MP claiming for the Duck House. And though when we look at the proportion of claims and what they were for, was it mainly for accommodation and second homes, or were there other expenses that you think really should have come to light that you're aware of?
Well, I think the duck pond obviously made headlines. The expenses scandal, though, I mean, the deepest level was over the flipping of second homes, and now that's a huge problem, and it cuts to the very core of this scandal.
You've obviously been hearing a lot from the general public. They're fairly disgruntled about this. Indeed, we know that they have written now to officials there. But do they in effect see it as if the MPs are simply getting off the hook here? I think
there's a huge perception that the MPs are getting off the hook here. Dennis McShane, who was jailed over his expenses, has said in light of this that it's too late for him, but he's glad that a lot of other people who are in the same situation as him are now not going to have their expenses looked into, these cold cases. And remember, this is a crime that's been committed here, and if an elected representative of the people can be able to say this, then that's a serious problem with our democracy.
But this is all in the past, surely. It has all been handled, it's all come out into the open, and there is now reform. So surely MPs have now learnt their lesson, and that's it.
Well, it's not all come out into the open. We saw the case of Maria Miller only this year, and that was from a cold case. It's clear that there's a lot bubbling under the surface that hasn't come to light yet.
All right, but what about future fraudulent claims? That's not going to happen anymore. Surely MPs will have cleaned up their act.
Well, that would be nice to think that our elected representatives had all cleaned up their act, but there is a wider culture of cover-up going on at the heart of Westminster. We saw it over the paedophile scandal recently, and we see it again here with the expenses scandal. Now, imagine that I were to fiddle my expenses as an employee. My employer would straight away fire me. We, the people, are the employers of these MPs, and it is our duty to hold them to account, and it is their duty to be transparent and accountable in their affairs.
And you really don't believe, with people like yourselves and, of course, journalists who clearly can scrutinise our members of Parliament, you really feel that there is still a lack of transparency?
There's an absolute lack of transparency, and this very case proves how little transparency there is out there. Now, all of these cold cases are never going to be able to be investigated, and that's a real tragedy. And we must be ever more vigilant of holding our elected representatives to account. It's not surprising at all that parties such as the Greens and Left Unity are rising in popularity, because people are sick. They're fed up of the Westminster elite policing the Westminster elite and showing absolute disregard for the democratic wishes of the people.
Salman Shaheen, thank you very much indeed for joining us live here in our studios here, just overlooking Westminster here on RT UK. Thank you.